So when I was watching it, I was a bit of a stranger to Zoom, but obviously from all the interviews you see on TV, you're familiar with it.
Yeah.
But there are so many things I somehow didn't pick up on at the same time that sort of made it feel more real. So like the countdown at the top of the screen.
Yeah.
Towards the end, because I was like, I saw the runtime was like nearly just about an hour, and I thought, like, where's the extra half an hour gone?
Yeah.
But it just all ties in so perfectly. It really does.
No, the runtime was something that was one of the great benefits of working with Shudder. Is they were totally, we discussed with them, it might be anywhere from half an hour to an hour and a half. We just don't know. We don't know how much material we're going to get. We don't know we basically just don't know how this is going to work. And Shudder were totally cool with that. And, it's a really nice thing to be able to say, well, the movie, basically in an edit, a movie always tells you the length it wants to be anyway. And the horrible thing normally, I come from working in a lot of TV, and the horrible thing there is you have to hit whatever, 15 minutes ad break, 15 minutes ad break. And it's horrible having to force your footage into a shape that it doesn't want to be in. And it was so freeing being able to say, no, actually, even adding 3 minutes to get this to the full hour would make this baggier than it needs to be. 56, 57 minutes. That's where it's sitting just about right. And that's one of the great things about the streamers. I think about working with streamers is so long as it feels like a satisfying whole, you can put that out there and people won't feel cheated. It's not like you've gone to the cinema and paid $30 to go and see a movie, and then I think you probably would be asking for your extra half an hour.
Yeah, for sure. I think it didn't lag. There was kind of a sense of urgency to the whole thing because you had the time limit of a Zoom call. It almost it adds to the suspense. It definitely kind of adds that extra element. And I think when people are watching it, you can sort of feel a bit of kind of, I'm trying to like you want to keep them on the camera, so they're kind of holding the laptop, and it feels unnatural at first, and you think, well, why are they taking the laptop around when this is all going off? But that's their window to safety at the moment when they're in lockdown. Friends, and that's kind of, you're claustrophobic and you're trapped in your own space, and that's your window to the outside world.
Well, no, that's exactly it. I mean, like anyone who's been doing these, everyone's been doing these Zoom calls, but you feel like, we're having a conversation now, and I feel, connected to you guys in that way. But then if my internet cuts out, suddenly I'm very aware that I'm actually on my own sitting in a bedsit. That was kind of the tension we wanted to play with, is this idea of feeling like you're together, but actually you're isolated. And the characters are kind of always reminded of that throughout the movie, that they're doing this communal thing, but ultimately they're on their own when the shit hits the fan.
And how so does it tie at all into the movie that you're doing at the moment? So will it be sort of a continuity, if you like, for the times that we're in at the moment?
So this new movie we're doing with Blumhouse is it shares a lot of DNA with Host. It's not like a sequel or anything like that. But it's kind of a sister piece, I guess. It's the way that we've been kind of describing it's like Host is about the claustrophobia of lockdown and all the tensions that come from that, and this new movie is about going back outside and the world reopening, and the world still being an unsafe place, but we're all we're all having to re-engage, and just that fear of other people that we all have now, going back out into the world. I've said it before, but like you walk down the street and you see somebody coming your way, and it almost feels like you're in a scene from It Follows. It's like, do I cross the road? Have I got 2 meters between us? And just playing on that tension, in the same way that Host it's set during lockdown, but it's not about lockdown. It's a seance movie. This new movie is like a kind of it's a supernatural movie again, but coming at a slightly different angle. But really, it's a supernatural roller coaster ride horror movie that just happens to take place during all this fucking weird stuff that's going on right now.
Times,
yeah.
So you say supernatural for your new productions, which is obviously a continuing theme from Host as the shared DNA.
Yeah.
Is there anything that you wished you would have done in Host if you had more time that we could be possibly seeing in these future productions?
Well, I mean, you're with Host. We were kind of confined. We shot Host on a very low budget, and we wanted to stretch that. And I think we stretched that budget about as far as it could possibly go with all the stunts and effects that we did. But we were confined to what the actors could pull off in their own homes for the most part. What we could do within those confined spaces. This new movie being out in the world gives us a lot more opportunity to do even crazier shit. And that some of the set pieces, I mean, it might crash and burn, but if we pull it off, some of the set pieces in this new movie are absolutely insane. And just the scale that we're able to work on now, we're working outside again, and being able to work kind of halfway between the very lo-fi way we shot Host and a more conventional film shoot. It just allows us much wider possibilities for what we can do. No, there was only one gag in Host that we really wanted to do that we couldn't figure out, which was playing a scare between windows, something that passes from house to house, but we just couldn't figure out how to do it. But apart from that, I think we kind of got everything we wanted in Host. I mean, I was always pushing and pushing, and the producer almost had a heart attack. But but that was really what we were trying to do. Is every single day we were turning up, and it was like, okay, how can we push this as far as it can go? People are expecting something at a certain level. People think that we can only pull off a certain level of scare and stunt and set piece in isolation. Let's blow that kind of preconception out the water and see what we can do. And and I think we did that, and hopefully it stands up even now. Even if you were to watch it without the context of we made it in lockdown, hopefully it's fun and scary and surprising enough that you could just watch it as a kind of fun Friday night movie with with pizza and beer.
Yeah, it was one of the very rare horror films I managed to persuade my wife to watch, and I've kind of got a new scale now, which is kind of how many screams she does during a film. So Host got 6 screams.
6, that's pretty good.
Which is pretty good. So that's the top so far. We had Paranormal Activity the other day, which I managed to show her off the back of kind of getting her into the paranormal stuff, and that got 4 screams. So and that's a much
wow, you got 2 more screams than Paranormal Activity.
There you go.
Honored.
Yeah, I made my whole family watch it, and they actually had to pause it. My mum had to pause it halfway through. She was like, "You need to talk me through this next scene." And it was the bit where the iron fell out the cupboard.
Right wow!
Literally like 2 minutes.
Wow!
Yeah, and I was like, I can't be dealing with this. I'm just gonna go away. But they ended up watching it and really enjoying it. And I was like, you have to watch the ones. You have to watch the Blumhouse ones.
Yeah. Oh, amazing.
I think it will become a bit of almost like a time capsule for 2020 and for lockdown a little bit, because it's been kind of accessible to a lot more people other than horror fans. I think managing to persuade my wife to watch it and like showing it, everyone's kind of showing it as this amazing. Well, we've all done Zoom calls. We've all at least done one dodgy pub quiz night on a Zoom call.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like a shared thing that we've all done in 2020 during lockdown.
Yeah, true. And I think that's what's really surprised us, is how this has reached beyond just the horror fans, and how it's kind of entered the mainstream discourse in a really lovely way. Because making it for Shudder, we kind of thought that our audience would just be hardcore horror fans.
Yeah,
which we were fine with. We were making it for horror fans. That's we're huge horror heads, and like the only question we were really asking ourselves is like, what's the movie we'd want to watch as horror fans during this time. But yeah, the fact that it's been picked up by all these major outlets, and it was in the New York Times and Empire, and all, it's like, honestly, it totally has blown our mind, and we're still kind of processing it. But that's what's so lovely about it. And I think it speaks to how universal horror is, and how I don't know about you guys, but like when lockdown happened, the first movies that I reached for on my DVD shelf were horror movies. I think it's just a great way of processing anxiety, and so hopefully Host has been that for people.
Yeah, I definitely think so. It's funny actually. It's with the kind of looking back at 80s horror and all the rest of it, it's kind of like horror stands the test of time. It's kind of, it doesn't matter what budget you've got or what kind of constraints you have. I think we all have universal fears that can kind of anyone can pull off with any budget, and just with the right kind of tuning into what everyone's feeling at the moment, I guess.
Yeah, no, totally. And that that's why we wanted this to be a film that was set during the weirdness that we're all going through, but not about it. I don't think anyone wants to see a pandemic movie that's about the pandemic, but I think just having characters you know, and you can kind of see yourself in, during all this kind of madness. There's something kind of quite cathartic about that. And then just putting them through a pretty classic horror movie experience is quite fun. You know, we wanted to kind of balance this extremely new, extremely timely thing of the Zoom call and the pandemic and all that,